Hey, there we are. Welcome everybody to the Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Training number one of Real Estate Investing number 161 on this Labor Day holiday morning, September 7th, 2016 and 2015. I'm sorry. Don't mean to lose another year on you there real quick, but yeah, and only 3 minutes late, thanks to the great googly moogly mess of this morning. I don't know what they're doing, man, but they're messing some stuff up today. Um, so I don't know if it's because they think this being a holiday that there's going to be fewer people out there trying to do things on the internet at this hour. So now's a great time to get in there and screw stuff up, or if they think that there's going to be more people on here and now's a great time to get in there and screw things up and mess with people's holiday. You know what I mean? You just want to get in there and do something real quick and make it nice and easy. It's a holiday. I don't want to be doing this. This is the one work thing I got to get done today. And bam, we have googly moogly mess and you can't get nothing done and you get all frustrated and you ruin your whole holiday. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know. I don't know, whatever. So I'm not sure. We decided what, one, two, three or four sessions ago that, and for those of you who don't know what a session is a 7-day period that most of you call that puny little word that we don't like. But 3 or 4 sessions ago, we decided that we would start doing something similar to what we do on our network marketing hangout, which is to study a training manual on how to do network marketing called Own Your Life, the 45-second presentation, which is all about how network marketing is done. We decided here that because one of the things that we profess so heavily in real estate and in your success in real estate is your ability to deal with people, that we have decided that on new op days here, and for those of you who don't know what a new op day is, that's the day that falls between Sunday and Tuesday that most of you call that ugly other day. So anyway, we've decided that on new op days here on this real estate investing hangout that we are going to study, not just read through and look at, literally study Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, some of you may have read this book at one time, and some of you may have never heard of this book because, quite honestly, this book was written. This might sound crazy to some of you. Why would we be dealing with a book that was written all the way back in 1936? Because it's still relevant today. Probably more so today than ever before, with the disconnect that people have with all the technology and what we have, in being, engaged in this machine more than we are engaged with actual human beings. This probably has more relevance today than it did in 1936, when people had no, when people were actually engaged with other people. Part of their daily life was engagement with other people. And if you want to see the real disengagement of us as a, now, I mean, Google Hangouts, I think, are worldwide, and this may not be in your country, but here in America, huge disconnect between individuals, between people. And if you want to see evidence of that, go stand in line anywhere. DMV, grocery store, bank. Oh, and by the way, if you're in a city, you go to any one of these and you're going to be standing in a line. Trust me. There ain't no avoiding it. I just got back from a vacation in my hometown of Tahoe, California. And you know what? You want to get something done, you go there, you do it. Hey, grocery store, sure, there's always a line at the grocery store because they just refuse to pay enough people to have checkers standing there in a capacity to actually serve the public when they've got 8 freaking lines there that are available and only 2 are operating. But anyway, that's a whole nother story too. This more ridiculousness of this world and how we run things. But and part of why this is so powerful. But look at the people in line. Nobody is talking to each other. Very rare few will engage anybody in that line, especially, oh my gosh, turn around and talk to the person behind you. Oh my God. But here's the funny thing. This is the hilarious part. That same person that will stand in line for, 5, 10, 15, 30 freaking minutes and talk to no one, once they get to the cashier or whoever it is that's behind the glass, whatever, it's like freaking old home family week, family reunion time. Oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, good to see you, blah, 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 blah. They'll talk up a freaking storm and take up everybody else's time. Isn't that ridiculous? We need to read this book today more than ever. Engaging with other people is what this world is all about. This technology is fantastic. It helps us to be able to communicate with other people on a one-on-one, instantaneous kind of situation. But engaging with other people is an individual, face-to-face, belly-to-belly kind of a thing that they talk about. That is where success in this world comes from in all areas. So, How to Win Friends and Influence People, written in 1936. Why is it relevant today? That's why it's relevant today, because we are too disconnected from other human beings, more so than ever before, which is why the relevance of this book is even more powerful today than it probably was in 1936. This particular version that I have here was revised in 1981. I'm curious, I'm not sure if John's version was revised in 1981 or if he has one of the sort of originally written versions. But if he does, I'm very curious to see what the differences are. They say that they didn't change the book, which I truly believe. They didn't change the book at all. They didn't change the right. Oh, excuse me, gosh. All they really did was to update some of the sort of stories and what am I looking for here? Anyway, they sort of just kind of brought into more modern relevance some of the stories and scenarios or whatever you want to call it that he put into the book to sort of tell a little story about to bring out the point of what he's talking about. So instead of talking about somebody from 1910, in this book, maybe we're talking about somebody from 1960. So it makes a little bit more sense. It's a little bit something more. It makes it a little bit easier for modern day era to sort of get a grasp of and have it be more relevant to this world. So that's the changes that they made. As far as what I like what they say here, they've made a few excisions and added a few more contemporary examples. The brash, breezy Carnegie style is intact. Even the 30s slang is still in there. Dale Carnegie wrote as he spoke in an intensely exuberant, colloquial, conversational manner. So, like I said, they haven't changed the book, just kind of updated some of the examples. So, how and why was this? How and why? How the oh, how and why was this book written? It actually says how this book was written and why. Kind of, I don't know. My mind was going to say one thing and my eyes were looking at another. My tongue didn't know what to do. Basically, again, this is a training manual. Just as we were talking about in our network marketing hangout just a minute ago, this is a training manual. This is how to do network marketing the right way, which very, very few people understand in this world. And this is how to communicate with people the right way, which very, very few people understand in this world. There's similarities between these books. It talks about how Dale Carnegie conducted courses in public speaking, sort of how he got started here, right? And the courses were designed to train adults by actual experience to think on their feet and express their ideas with more clarity, more effectiveness, and more poise, both in business interviews and before groups. But what he soon came to realize after teaching these people these, you know, stand before a crowd delivery methods, that even these people who were becoming really good group presenters, so to speak, they needed even more training in the fine art of just getting along with people in everyday business and social contacts. So while they could stand before a group and deliver this great speech or presentation or whatever, and be, you know, revered and looked at as somebody who was, you know, an authority figure that people wanted to emulate or be like, or get to know or whatever, when it came down to one-on-one personal interactions, they sucked. And he was starting to realize that. So that's where this whole idea, the concept, was kind of born. You know, he says here, and this is so true, dealing with people, oh, and I'm sorry, he also started to gradually realize that he himself was in need of some of that same training. So he says this. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Okay, when he looks back across the years, he's appalled at his own frequent lack of finesse and understanding, and how he wishes that such a book had been, you know, placed in his hand 20 years ago. You know, what a priceless boon that would have been for him, right? Okay. But regardless of that, he goes on here to say that, you know, and this is so very true, dealing with people is probably the biggest problem you face, especially if you are in business. Yes, and that is also true if you are a housewife, an architect, an engineer. It doesn't matter. Research done back in the day, a few years ago, but back in the day, um, under the auspices of the Carnegie Foundation. So, I mean, they're just saying that, you know, it's legitimate research here, for the advancement of teaching, uncovered that a most important and significant fact. This is huge. What they uncovered, what these investigations revealed, was that even in such technical lines as, say, engineering, 15% of one's financial success is due to the technical knowledge that a person has, or their skills, what they know and what they can do. And about 85% is due to the skill in human engineering, to personally, I mean, to personality and the ability to lead people. 85%. And what he says about that is that, you know, one can, for example, hire mere technical ability in engineering, accounting, architecture, whatever, at a nominal salary, and the job can get done. But the person who has technical knowledge plus the ability to express ideas, to assume leadership, and to arouse enthusiasm amongst other people, that person is headed for a higher earning power. That is why this is a training manual. That is why this is so powerful. That is why this is so relevant to wholesale real estate. And that is why we're going to be studying it every new update. Okay. But there you go. I mean, right there, right there. He realized through his trainings of teaching public speaking how inept people were in closer interactions, and he himself being one of those people, coming to understand that dealing with people is probably the biggest problem you will ever face, regardless of whether you're in business or you're a housewife or an architect or an engineer, whatever. I mean, think about that. As a housewife, you got to deal with your kids. That's a tough one right there. This can help you do that, you know. And then through, because he happens to use engineers here, because he goes in here to say that, you know, he actually had one specific course for engineers in this stuff. And the people that would come to the class are the ones who sort of realize that, hey, you know, I do much better work than John Smith over there, but John Smith's a gabber and he gets along with everybody. I just come to work every day, I put my head down and get my job done, and I kick tail. But he got the promotion and I didn't. How does that work out, right? Those are the people that were coming to the course, realizing that, whoa, wait a second. It's not about what I know. It's not about what I can do on paper. It's not about how great my drawings are. It's not about any of the technical BS that I went to school and learned. It's all about how well I deal with other people that are going to get me to the levels that I want to be at. Those are the people who started coming to his courses. And like I said, what he learned there, you know, and what this study learned was that it was true, you know, that only 15% of your pay scale is based upon what you know and can do. And the other 85% is what you can know and do with people. So the cool thing here is that in the heyday of his activity, John D. Rockefeller, we all know who that guy was, right? Said that the ability to deal with people is as purchasable a commodity as sugar or coffee. Okay, the ability to deal with people is as purchasable as sugar or coffee. How purchasable is sugar or coffee? You can go down to the grocery store right now and get some, right? Come home, 5 minutes, you got it, right? The ability to deal with people is as purchasable as that. In other words, you can learn it. But especially back in the day, he was pointing out that, you know, nobody's giving this information away. You're going to have to pay for it. You got to go out and buy some education. And he says, and I will pay more for that ability than for any other ability under the sun. The ability to deal with people is as purchasable, and I will pay for that ability. I will pay more for that ability than for any other ability under the sun. More than the ability to, you know, anything technical. Swing a hammer, build a bridge, make it, you know, make a drawing, you know, all of those things. I would pay more for the ability to deal with people. But it's just as easy to get as sugar or coffee. And it still is today, just as easy to get as sugar or coffee. And you know what? Today, in places like this and many places around, I know pretty much our mentor, Jeff Fagan, on his Tuesday mornings sort of delivers, you know, this message on the ability to deal with other people to a certain extent for free. There's information there. There's information in books. There's information here. Of course, I guess you have to buy a book, so it's as purchasable. Maybe that's what he was talking about. You can go down to the corner store and buy this book, and it's as purchasable as sugar or coffee. But anyway, but that's the power. John D. Rockefeller was a very successful man. And why was he a very successful man? Because he had an uncanny ability to deal with people. Your success in real estate lies in your uncanny ability to deal with people. That's the bottom line. That's why we're in this book. Okay, let's see here. He talks about, you know, wouldn't you suppose that every college in the country would have courses such as this, you know, to develop the highest priced ability, the ability to deal with people? And yet, through all his, and you can probably look today in your standard course, your standard colleges, high schools, colleges, whatever, across the land, he found that, you know, the common sense course that, oh, he says, this is how he puts it. But if there is just one practical common sense course of this kind given for adults in even one college in the land, it has escaped my attention up to this present of this writing. Well, you know what? He could still be looking 50 years later, 100 years, or however many years later after his passing, and still he wouldn't find that. He wouldn't find that course in traditional education. there was a survey conducted by the University of Chicago and the United YMCA schools. Cost about $25,000, took 2 years. They took one portion of this took place in Meridian, Connecticut, where they found that every adult in Meridian, they did they surveyed every adult in Meridian with a survey of 156 questions. What is your business or profession, your education, how do you spend your spare time, what is your income, your hobbies, just all this stuff, right? And what they boiled it down to, what the purpose of the survey was to reveal that, what is it that people are interested in. And you know what? It turns out that health was the primary interest of adults. And you know what? Today, look at all the health products and health benefits out there and health businesses out there. It's still, today, health is probably the prime interest of adults. And their second interest is people. Now, is that still the same today? I don't know, but you know what? It should be if it's not. How to understand and get along with people, how to make people like you, and how to win others to your way of thinking. Guess where it's at? That's all right in here, and we're going to study it. The committee conducting this survey oh, okay, yeah, all right. The committee that conducted the survey, they resolved to conduct a course, on how to deal with people in Meridian. But they searched high and low for a textbook, something with which to run this course out of, and they couldn't find anything. And finally, they approached one of the world's outstanding authorities on adult education to ask him, hey, where's the book we need here? And he said, there is no book. I know what those adults want, but the book they need has never been written. That's when Dale decided to write the book. I knew from experience that this statement was true, is what he says, because he himself had been searching for such a book. And since no such book existed, I have tried to write one for use in my own courses, and this is that book. He talks about how the preparation of the book went, et cetera, and so on. And what he did was he started a course, and he talks about how the book evolved out of, notes into leaflets, into pamphlets, into little booklets, into, a whole larger book, et cetera, and so on, until the book finally evolves into this. And, he was conducting courses where he was directing and talking to people. He said, I would give the talk, and I urged the listeners to go out and test it in their business and their social contacts, and then come back to the class and speak about their experiences and the results they had achieved. Okay, so that's how he gained his knowledge about the subject. That's how the book was written, right there, by presenting the information to average folks of all types, extraordinarily average to averagely average, or below, whatever you want to call it, and telling them to go out and test this stuff and come back and tell them about their results. So there's the tested, proven, backing to solidify the information and the validity of what's in this book and how powerful it really is. So he says, it grew and developed out of such a laboratory, out of the experiences of thousands of adults. After 15 years of experiment and research came this book. So there's a lot of there's a lot of validity behind what's here. The rules we have set down here are not mere theories or guesswork, okay? That's important. Funny, he talks about theories in here too. They work like magic. Incredible as it sounds, you've seen the application of these principles literally revolutionize the lives of people. And it can, so very quickly. He talks about a factory worker who used to walk through his establishment and no one greeted him. His employees actually looked the other way when they saw him coming, because they were, but he says, but now they're all my friends, and even the janitor calls me by my first name after, applying the principles in this book. This employer gained more profit and more leisure. What is infinitely more important, he found far more happiness in his business and in his home after applying the principles in this book. Countless numbers of salespeople have sharply increased their sales by the use of these principles. On innumerable occasions, spouses attending the banquet given at the end of the courses that he was doing would tell him that their homes have become much happier since their husbands or wives started these trainings. So not only did they go out and apply this stuff in their business, but it carried over into the home. The home became a happier, healthier place. Another man, an old New Yorker, a Harvard graduate, a wealthy man, owner of a large carpet factory, declared he had learned more in 14 weeks through the system of training about the fine art of influencing people than he had learned about the same subject in his 4 years in college. 4 years in college, he learned more in 14 weeks out of the principles and what Carnegie was teaching back then. It's crazy. Compared to what we ought to be, a famous professor from Harvard, William James, he said, compared to what we ought to be, we are only half awake. We are making use of only a small part of our physical and mental resources. Stating the thing broadly, the human individual thus lives far within his limits. He possesses powers of various sorts which he habitually fails to use. Powers that you habitually fail to use. The sole purpose of this book is to help you discover, develop, and profit by those dormant and unused assets. And that's exactly so true today. So much power of various sorts that you and I and everybody habitually fail to use. And this is going to help you bring those out. I know too, we're getting running a little long here, but cool, we're right where I wanted to be. Well, not really, but Dr. John G. Hiven, former president of Princeton University, says, education is the ability to meet life's situations. If by the time you have finished reading the first 3 chapters of this book, if you aren't then a little better equipped to meet life's situations, he says, then I shall consider this book to be a total failure as far as you are concerned. For the great aim of education, said Herman Spencer, whoever that is not knowledge, but action. The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action. Okay? This is an action book. So if by the time you get to chapter 3, and this, how does he put it? By the time you get to chapter 3, if you aren't a little better equipped to meet life situations, you know what that means is that you read 3 chapters and you took no action. Okay? This is an action book. You have to apply this stuff. In order to apply it, you first of all have to come here with an open mind to accept it. Okay, he talks about 9 suggestions how to get the most out of this book. John and I covered this 2 sessions ago on New Op Day, but I'm going to run through this again real quick. I know we're getting over time here, but if you wish to get the most out of this book, there's one indispensable requirement, one essential, infinitely more important than any other rule or technique. This magic requirement is just this: a deep driving desire to learn. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Come here with an open mind and a deep driving desire to learn and grow and change your life, because otherwise, if you don't have that, if you're closed-minded, you go nowhere, this book will mean nothing to you. So will any book, so will any education and training, because if you don't open your mind and accept information and process it and apply it and try it out and make your own judgment as to whether or not it's good, bad, or indifferent, nothing will change for you. How do you develop such an urge? Consistently reminding yourself how important these principles are to you. Picture to yourself how their mastery will aid you in leading a richer, fuller, happier, and more fulfilling life. So basically, that's kind of like what's called auto-suggestion, is just telling yourself what you want. That's how this universe works. Everything in here you can have. If the mind of man can conceive it and believe it, it can receive it. Okay? And believe it. That's the thing. And this is what this is telling you right here. Bring yourself to believe that these principles will change your life, and these principles will change your life. My popularity, happiness, and sense of worth depend on no small extent upon my skill in dealing with people. Understand that, because it's real. My popularity, my happiness, and sense of worth depend on no small extent upon my skill in dealing with people. That is why this book is so important. Happiness, popularity, sense of worth, your actual worth, all lie within your skill in dealing with people. So I'm just going to skip back to the end now. There's some stuff in there that I want to go through, but I got to end this. In order to get the most out of this book, develop a deep driving desire to master the principles of human relations. Read each chapter twice before going on to the next one. As you read, stop frequently and ask yourself, how can I apply each suggestion? Underscore each important idea in the book so you can re-reference it easy. Review the book each month so you know what those underscores are for. Apply these principles at every opportunity. Apply, take action. Use this volume as a working handbook to help you solve your daily problems. You have a problem out there that happens today, come back, find a solution within the book. Make a lively game out of it by offering someone to be your accountability partner and pay them for every time you screw up and you don't use the principle in this book. Check up each week on the progress you are making. Ask yourself what mistakes you have made, what improvement, what lessons you have learned for the future. Review yourself. Keep tabs on yourself. That's how you learn and grow. Keep notes in the back of the book showing how and when you have applied these principles. Not only keep track of your mistakes and your problems and what you need to correct, but also keep track of what you do good and when, so you can track your growth patterns. Chapter 1, Fundamental Techniques in Handling People. If you want to gather honey, don't kick over the beehive. I'll tell you how, real quickly, I got to tell you how powerful that is. Reading that last night, preparing for today, even though we didn't get into that today because of the holiday and the Google-licious mess-ups, but reading that last night in our real estate business, we had a situation, and you know what? We were about to handle it all wrong. And in reading that chapter last night, about 2/3 of the way through, it hit me from another John D. Rockefeller thing where he talks about, referring back to what Abraham Lincoln would do. And just everything that I read up to that point and getting to that point and hearing that statement, boom, it clicked in my mind exactly what I had to do in order to handle the situation the right way. And before we stepped out there and put something out that was going to, create huge problems and resentment, mostly between individuals. That's the big key, is resentment. And that's huge, huge debilitating factor in any relationship or business dealing or whatever, is to create resentment is what you want to avoid. And we would have done that the way we were thinking of approaching it until I read right 2/3 of the way into chapter 1, and boom, perfect resolution comes to mind. So that's the power of this book. All right, I can tell you right there, personal experience right there and there. Bam. I'll get into that a little more next session on New Op Day when we come back for a review on this book, and we will get into chapter 1. I'll go a little deeper into that. For now, thanks for being here. I hope you got something good out of this. I hope you're excited about getting some real knowledge and education that you can apply in the real world, to building relationships, building your business, your home life, your every bit facet of your life, and including building your wealth. And with that, oh universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever end I might desire. Thank you very much for being here. Amazon.com, if you don't have a copy, you can have one in no time flat. You can get an online copy, whatever, instantaneously. Go to the bookstore. I got this one at a used bookstore for $13 whole. Life-changing $13. The best $13 I've probably ever spent in my life. All right, with that, everybody, see you back here on Wisdom Wednesday for some powerful real estate information. Now, don't think this is not real estate information. If you didn't correlate the two together, you're going to have a missing problem there. PropertyNoodlers@gmail.com. If you're interested in getting involved with real estate, wholesale real estate investing, drop us an email. All right, everybody.